Flameo Hotman, the story in Netflix live-action Avatar The Last Airbender will be changing in a way that not only affects Season 1, but also Season 2 and 3, as confirmed by the showrunner Albert Kim. So I'm going to talk through these big changes and how they could affect the live-action series. Once you've had a listen, share what you think about these changes in the comments down below. By the way, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like and subscribe buttons on this video, help me get to 1k subs. I'm really grateful for all the support you guys have given me. Now let's talk about those changes. In an interview with EW, showrunner Albert Kim said this about his live-action Avatar series. All 3 seasons of the animation essentially take place in the course of 1 calendar year. There was no way we could do that, so we had to design the first season especially to accommodate the possibility of some time elapsing between season 1 and 2. He then goes on to say the comet was the ticking clock. We removed that particular ticking clock from our show for now because we couldn't know exactly how old our actors would be for the subsequent seasons. We definitely thought about that going into season 1 so that we can accommodate for puberty, adolescence, time passing, all those fun things that happen to real life human beings that don't happen to animated characters. So what does this mean for the story? Well, basically, it means we won't be getting the whole Sozins Comet by the end of the summer storyline, which was all triggered by Roku in the original Avatar animation. However, the way Albert Kim says this, and particularly how he uses the words "for now," makes me think that Sozins Comet will still play a role. If you look back at the teaser trailer, we did see the first comet, so we know they're not ignoring the comets completely. That first one was the one Sozin himself used to start the war. It's the second comet that Albert Kim's referring to, which originally does kind of set a time bound for the animated series. We're not quite sure how they're going to do that. Of course, Albert Kim doesn't go into too much detail. Perhaps instead of making it a time-bound thing that Roku reveals to Aang, maybe they won't know the timings around it, and that'll be something they discover across their journey. Maybe it's even something we'll have to wait till season 2 before it's revealed, and instead of being the end of summer, it might actually be in a few years kind of thing. We know Roku has been cast, so they're not completely cutting out all of that story. Instead, it seems like it's just the timelines that are going to be different. Now, before you start getting worried about it, the truth is, this was kind of inevitable. The main consideration is for Gordon and Kiyo, who play Aang and Katara respectively. That's because the rest of the cast are adults, or around about adults, and that means likely they're not going to change that much visually. What's interesting that goes with this is that Gordon was actually 11 years old when he auditioned for the role as Aang, and now he's 14 years old and season 1 hasn't even been released yet. No one's going to believe by the time it gets to season 3 that an 18 or 20-year-old is still 12 years old. So by tweaking the timeline of the show, it actually becomes okay for Netflix live-action adaptation to show the characters aging. And what's more, it kind of opens up the possibilities as well. It means they're not so rushed to get through the storyline. It might allow them to go deeper into other spin-off stories, things that perhaps go deeper into the past avatars, and do things like allow them to explore the Fire Nation in more detail, something that the producers have already confirmed is going to happen in season 1. It is worth saying I mentioned season 2 and 3 at the very start of the video. Season 2 hasn't actually been given the green light just yet. So that's your first big change that's been confirmed for season 1 of Netflix Avatar The Last Airbender. Before we finish, I also wanted to talk about Azula. Netflix released a poster of Azulas Bending, and lots of people have been talking about why the fire around her isn't blue. Does that mean Azula won't have her iconic blue fire? There are 2 theories around this that I've seen. The first is simply that they've changed it and she no longer has blue fire. Personally, I find that unlikely. Everything we've heard from the showrunners and pretty much everyone involved in the series is that they're trying to keep the series true to the original animation. The more popular theory is simply the fact that her fire almost always turns normal when it impacts, and actually that won't be too far-fetched compared to the original animation, because we've got lots of instances here where her blue fire bending does turn normal once it hits, meaning I'm still pretty confident Azula will have blue fire. One possibility I thought I would throw out there though is that maybe they'll just show her journey of why and how her firebending turns blue through season 1. Of course, in the original animation, her fire was pretty much always blue from when we saw her first firebend. I think the only shots of Azula having a normal firebending colour are those scenes we had of her when she was younger and she was doing the demonstration in front of Fire Lord Sozin. But because that didn't happen till later in Avatar The Last Airbender, Season 2 and 3, I feel like maybe Season 1 will show a bit more of Azula's journey and how she gets to being the powerful firebender that she is. Oh yeah, and one other thing I wanted to point out, check out Azula's bending style in this image. I feel like the producers have done a really good job here, because if you compare it to her bending pose in the animation, it almost looks identical. Anyways, these are some of the big changes that have recently come to light for Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender. Overall, I would say things are still looking very positive. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And I have got loads more great Avatar videos coming your way, so keep a lookout. For now though, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.